Yeah.
Good morning. It is 10 a.m. Wednesday, December 20th, and I'll call to order the Ottawa City Commission meeting. Can I have roll call, please?
Mayor Crowley,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Skidmore,
Present.
Commissioner Graves,
Present.
Commissioner Kaler,
Present.
and Commissioner Clayton.
Present.
All right, we're all here. We'd like to welcome everybody, whether you're here in person or you're listening to us on some form of media. We'll start today with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation by our Mayor Pro Tem Mike Skidmore. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Father in heaven, we give you thanks for this gathering and for these fellow commissioners working alongside me up here, that we acknowledge that it's by your sovereignty that we're appointed in these positions, and we treat that with great respect and responsibility. And we also ask for your divine guidance and direction as we look over the issues of the agenda today. And Lord, we're thankful for the Christmas season. We're thankful for the gift of your Son, Jesus. Many names he follows with as far as Redeemer, Holy One of Israel, and Emmanuel, God with us. And that last one has special significance this Christmas season. We just give you thanks for that perfect gift. And Lord, we know that this time of year is difficult for some people in our community, so we just ask for an extra measure of love and compassion on those folks. Lord, we give you thanks too for our city staff. They work tirelessly together to make this city a greater place. And we give you thanks for each of them as they enter the Christmas season. A special blessing also for Chief Matthias and his dedication and service to our community for so many years. We give you thanks for him. Also a special blessing on he and his family. All these things we give thanks to you in Christ's name. Amen.
Thank you. All right, that moves us on to the consent agenda, which is our minutes from our study sessions from December 4th and December 11th, and our regular meeting from November 20th and December 6th, plus the applications for the 2024 cereal malt beverages licenses. I will not read all of them, but if you would like to see who that is, you can certainly review our agenda today. And then the agenda approval.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Thank you.
I will second.
All right, motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Thank you. All right, that moves us on to public comments. Do we have any?
We have none registered.
Thank you. All right, our declaration. At this time, I'd like to give the commissioners a chance to declare any conflict or communication they've had that might influence their ability to consider today's issues impartially. Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. Item A.
Donation from Constantino's Price Chopper to the Mayor's Christmas Tree Fund.
A generous donation of $2,000 was received from Cosentino's Price Chopper as a pass-through donation to assist those in need in Ottawa. The Commission selected two agencies to receive the funds from the donation. Representatives from East Central Kansas Economic Opportunity Corporation, ECAN, and Hope House will be present to accept the donation of $1,000 each from each agency. I believe we have, is it Janet Slifer? Are you, Janet, come on up, and then I'll actually meet you down there, and then we'll just do them one by one. How about that? We're gonna get a picture if you don't mind. Turn around, Jack. Here you go. This way. Janet, you want to say anything?
Just thank you very much. This is very much needed, and we really appreciate all that the community has done for us. And we're surprised to get this, but we're really thankful. So anyway, and I need to go back to Hope House because we're really busy this morning. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you, Janet. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
And then Corey, come on, Corey. You gotta get a picture too.
Always happy to get a picture with you, sir.
All right, you wanna say a few words?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you all so much. This will definitely go to our families in need, especially at this difficult time. Thank you.
Corey, thank you. We certainly appreciate what ECAN and Hope House does for our community, and I think we appreciate certainly Cosentino's giving us this donation, so we can certainly pass it on to those of you that do great things for our community. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item B, I was gonna say thank you to all the firefighters for showing up today and taking some interest in our community, and certainly the commission and everything, but I think it's item B that you're actually here for.
Presentation of retirement plaque to Fire Chief Tim Mathias.
Chief Mathias, I guess it says City Manager Silcott. Do you want to say a few words first? Yeah, please.
Just that I arrived in April, and I had the pleasure during some of the preliminary onboarding to interact with Chief as we set up the strategic assessment and the comp study that'll be presented in the first quarter of next year. And just, I know that it's, particularly having started in the fire service, although I know management of the fire service from the city manager perspective, because I'm old enough that the chief and I are the same age. And so when we started on the fire department at about the same time, the fire engines, you rode outside, not inside, and you actually pulled levers rather than switches and pneumatics. So a lot's changed, but it has been nice to work with Tim, and I know that he's certainly left it better than he's found it. And so for that, I'm appreciative, and I know the men and women of our fire service and Ottawa's bravest appreciate that as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Chief, we have a plaque for you. Let me
Sure.
read what it says here. In appreciation for Chief Tim Mathias of the Ottawa Fire Department, this plaque is given in appreciation for your dedication, devotion to duty, sincerity of purpose, and genuine concern for our community. Thank you for providing such significant service to the citizens of Ottawa. Always remember that you made a difference. November 1990 through March 1997, May 2003 through December 2023. I guess you took a little time off there?
Took a little break,
All
yes.
right, I don't blame you. All right, let me bring this up there for you. Do one more. Chief, the stage is all yours. Take as much time as you want.
Well, here we are. You know, when I first started here back in 1990, November 5th of 1990, I did ride in a open cab fire truck. Our newest truck at the time was a 1970, and so our oldest truck was a 1956. And so a lot has changed. I couldn't have done it without my family. They've been by my side. It's hard to be not just the fire chief, but as a firefighter, you're gone, middle of the night. We don't have the luxury of not going into a fire. Those folks that are on duty need us to come in off duty. And so a lot of time was spent away from family, many birthdays, Christmases. I think I worked the first 4 or 5 Christmases when I came on. So thank you to my family. I couldn't have done it without them. And then I want to thank my fire family. Those men and women, they're out there every day doing what they can for the city of Ottawa. And so I'm just very proud of each and every one of them and what they've done and what they will continue to do with the leadership of Assistant Chief Sean Dillon. I'm very proud to have served the city of Ottawa for 27 years. We've had our ups and downs as a city and employees, but all in all, it's just a great city to be the fire chief in, and to my whole career, except for 6 years when I went to Lawrence, we're right here in Ottawa. So I just couldn't be more happy of my career. This is what I wanted to do when I was a kid. I've been blessed to do it for 33 years. So thank you. I want to leave before I get emotional, but again, thank you all for what you've done. I want to give a special shout out to Richard Tao, fire chief when I got hired. He gave this country boy an opportunity. So, thank you all, and we'll see you Friday.
Chief, thank you.
And if I may, Chief, I'm sure you'll lose the choke up as soon as you see your honey-do list.
I've already seen it.
Chief, the city of Ottawa is, in my mind, lucky to have a gentleman like you running our fire department. As I mentioned the other day, I think we've known each other for a few years. Yes, we've had some good times and some bad times through the city with the city of Ottawa. And the fact that we have people like you leading departments it's always the light that we can look at to say, look, it's always going to get better, because we have guys like that, women like that are in our departments, that are making things look better, that are working their butts off to make sure that our community is the place that we want to live and raise our children. So thank you. I don't even think that means enough for, to say thank you, but certainly thank you, and thank you to your family for the sacrifices that all of you made so that you could make our community the place where it is today.
I just want to add something too. Years ago, we had a grass fire behind our house, and Chief Matthias was there, and although a chief, he was pulling hoses too, helping out, and I thought, wow, what a perfect example of leading by example that you performed on that day. And fire got put out, thankfully. They did a good job on that. But nonetheless, I really appreciated that to see you doing that. And a note to our city manager, just because you're the same age, don't get any ideas of retirement, okay? All right, thanks.
I was going to say, I think you took on the wrong job if he's retiring and he's not. He's the same age.
And I wanted to say, add thank you to Janet and your family, because I know firsthand that it's not easy living with a firefighter or living that lifestyle, and you pick up a lot of slack. Not that they're slack, but you pick up a lot. So thank you to your family as well, and thank you, Chief Matthias, for everything you've done.
Gentlemen, do you want to say anything? Anybody? You got the mic.
Save that for Friday.
This is the PG part? All right. Well, once again, thank you, Chief, and we certainly appreciate it. And I'm going to skip that announcement that you mentioned earlier. December 22nd at 2 to 4 at Fire Station 1 will be your retirement reception, once again, from 2 to 4 at Fire Station 1. So we will all see you there.
Thank you.
All right, item C.
Ordinance amending specific sections of municipal code concerning fees for registration of dogs.
This ordinance amends Section 3-33 of the Municipal Code on dog licensing, reflecting changes to the licensing process. Mr. Finch, are you going to handle this one?
I sure can. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, we've talked about this ordinance at a couple of study sessions now. Upon recommendation from the city's contractor, Prairie Paws, who's handled dog registration for a number of years, the idea that the dog could be microchipped and vaccinated and sterilized, spayed or neutered, would actually be more cost effective than annual registrations, and therefore they brought forward this ordinance change to try to recognize that fact. So the new process would be this: everyone would still go through one more round of registrations in 2024. If you have your dog microchipped and vaccinated, spayed or neutered, that would be the last time you would register. The ordinance authorizes the city's contractor to issue a certificate of exemption showing that the dog has met those conditions, and then they would not be subject to annual registration. If your dog does not meet those conditions, you would continue to go through the annual registration. The cost for that would be $15. This does allow for the contractor to assess an administrative fee of up to $5 for that. And then if a dog is found unregistered and not exempt, there's a penalty for that of $40, and those can compound if that happens over and over again with a dog not being registered with the city. So those are the changes in this ordinance. We hope that makes it a little more user-friendly for citizens who own dogs, and certainly want to encourage them to be vaccinated, spayed or neutered, and microchip. Helps us return lost dogs to their owners, and ultimately is more cost-effective for the city as well. And I'll stand for any questions.
Commissioners, either questions for Mr. Finch or the Prairie Pulse Executive Director, Vanessa Cowie, that's on Zoom?
There is a provision in here about unsterilized males and female dogs. Has that changed?
Has it changed in what way?
Has it changed at all? I mean, the cost of it,
No.
have we gotten rid of it? We didn't mention it, so.
No, that is, and as you recall, Commissioners, our custom is when we amend something, we set forward the whole section, and there's not been a change to that section.
Commissioners, any other questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve item C as listed in the agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Have a roll call vote, please.
How do you vote, Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Graves?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton?
Yes.
And Mayor Crowley?
I vote yes, motion is approved. I made a comment earlier, I joked around about you fellas showing up for the excitement of our agenda, but I'll take a moment to wait if you'd like to leave. I mean, you could stay if you want. I just didn't know if you had something more pressing to get to.
We're paying them one way or the
Well,
other. I mean, they're all on duty, so I mean,
Maybe
It's
you know,
okay
speaking
if
of rolling
they
up hoses
stay,
and
I
stuff,
mean-
maybe Chief. I mean,
As long as there's not a
boss
fire.
for a few
Yeah.
more days.
They can go.
I mean,
I think they
there-
got better
Well-
things to
There's
do
a few more exciting things on the agenda. You don't have to leave.
I didn't even make my comments yet. I didn't even make my comments yet.
All right.
As long as there's not a fire anywhere, a cat in a tree.
Sometimes it
you
gets
know,
awkward
okay.
leaving, so I didn't
Yeah,
want to
okay.
make it awkward. So.
I just assumed they were getting training hours somehow.
There, there you go. Okay.
Leadership training hours.
There you go. Thank you all for sticking around.
Way to go.
Item D.
Ottawa Municipal Airport Master Plan Update.
The plan outlines potential projects to the airport that will qualify for federal funding. Director Hafley. Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. What you have before you is a synopsis of the actual airport master plan that was put together and approved in 2018. What you'll find throughout the document that I've provided is the what was originally put in the master plan. The highlighted numbers or highlighted items on the short-term horizon from 2017 to 2022. Those highlighted items are the ones that we have already accomplished, already projects that are complete, is what I'm trying to say. And then if you look to the back, to the last two pages of that document, is our new tables, Table 6B, for the projects we have coming up. We've got the reconstruct the taxiway and construct taxi lanes and nested T-hangers. Those are on the short term, and as you go through, you can see the other projects that are coming up. Now we will have an update. Have to do a new master plan in 2028, which could change everything in there, but the basic information in that master plan will be about the same as what we have now. So what I'm asking from you today is to approve those short-term items so that I can get those entered into the FAA's website and be current with the FAA on our master plan.
Commissioners, any questions for Director Hafley?
Well, I'm personally excited to see this. I'm serving currently as our city representative on the board, and it's exciting to see over the last several years the progress of our airport. Sometimes it's kind of it's been treated like the stepchild outside of town. Nobody knows it's there. It's kind of, but I think in growing town like we are, it's going to be more and more important, especially in how close it is to Proximity Park. I'm glad to see the attention that's been paid toward the airport, especially the T-hangars we're looking at constructing here in the near future. We have a waiting list. We understand we can fill that the next day, basically.
Pretty
And
much,
I'm glad
yes.
to see that increased activity, increased fuel sales, and I'm just excited to see that. And Jimmy's doing a good job of running our airport, I'll say that too. So with that, I'll make a motion. We approve the item C on our agenda. I'm sorry, item D.
Thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Can I have a roll call vote, please?
How do you vote, Commissioner Clayton?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Graves?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Skidmore?
Yes.
And Mayor Crowley.
I vote yes, motion is approved.
Thank you.
Director Haefely. Item E,
Ordinance providing for the regulation of vehicular and pedestrian traffic and removing no parking zone on South Popular Street between 5th and 6th Streets.
Chief, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. I'm helping present today for Director Neese, who is currently in Auto Municipal Court for some other codes enforcement cases. So if he couldn't get here, he asked me if I could review this with you. Today, through an analysis from Neighborhood and Community Resources, certain neighborhood services, Public Works, and the Police Department, after a request was received to modify parking restrictions in the 500 block of South Poplar, in particular from Grace Community Fellowship Church. The recommendation is to approve the updates for the parking ordinance as presented in Section 12-317 of the Municipal Code. In that particular block, there was parking restriction on the west side of the street, likely when that was a served elementary school, because on the east side of the street was school bus parking, unloading and offloading zones. So parking was restricted on the west side of that street. And at the request of the church to do an analysis of available parking in the area, all three of our departments reviewed some recommendations, took some photographs, did several weekends of surveys of parking and what that looked like, particularly when their heavy service load was during church services, and came back with a recommendation to remove the parking restriction on the west side. That change will help add between 10 and 15 parking spots on the street, plus there is some other additional parking on the side streets, so both on 5th and 6th Street surrounding the church. And what that allows is the church to add number of spaces available without impacting any green space or taking away adding any pavement in the green space, which could potentially negatively impact the stormwater and several quality of life indicators. There's no direct financial cost to the city. It would merely be just removing the parking signs that have been up there for a long time. Would be fine. We do have a temporary approval with the church to allow them to park on Christmas Eve for Christmas Eve service and some of those things in case we couldn't get this done before then. City Attorney Finch did review the ordinance as presented and approved it to form, and the recommendation from the commission today is to approve the updated parking ordinance amending section 12-317 of the municipal code.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions for Chief Weingartner? How would you like to act on item E?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we approve the ordinance listed in item E in our agenda.
Thank you.
I'll second. Go ahead.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Can I have a roll call vote, please?
How do you vote, Mayor Pro Tem Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Graves?
Yes.
And Mayor Crowley.
I vote yes, motion is approved. Thank you, Chief
Thank you.
Weingartner. Item F,
Charter ordinance amending Charter Ordinance 2015-20 to change the commencement date for the Ottawa City Commissioner term of office.
Mr. Finch, welcome back.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Back in 2015, the legislature changed the law for local elections. You'll recall that you stopped campaigning in the cold winter months and moved to the normal August and November calendar for even-numbered year elections. So at the time, there were a number of changes in that state law, and cities across the state responded with charter ordinances. That's the city's ability to use its home rule powers under the Kansas Constitution to opt out of non-uniform state laws and regulate those matters locally. One of the things that you did at that time is you moved to those elections, you kind of set out the term rotation again, since everything was set up on that April schedule, moved it to November, and used at the time the standard swearing-in date. So an election would take place early November, as you see for county commissions or state legislative members, and they're sworn in January. So that is a long time for local elections, and as you know, the budgeting process takes a long time, so we're basically taking a potential new commissioner and dropping him or her into the beginning of a budget cycle without a whole lot of time to warm up and understand the processes and procedures on the city commission. So you'd asked me to take a look at what it would take to change that, and amending a charter ordinance requires another charter ordinance. And in 2019, the state realized the same thing that you've come to, that it takes a long time to go from November to January. And so they allow for local governments to now do this by resolution instead of by charter ordinance. So what we are doing today, if you vote for this ordinance, you are amending the 2015 charter ordinance and striking a sentence that does not appear on the face of this ordinance that said the swearing in will take place in January. That will free you up to fall back under the 2019 state law and set that date by resolution. So with a charter ordinance, we publish that ordinance twice. The public has 61 days to file a protest if they like you being sworn in January. And then we have to go through an election, not of you, but of the question of when swearing in will take place. So in the unlikely event that occurs, we'll deal with it, but otherwise we'll wait 61 days from the publication date, and then we'll talk about the resolution to change the swearing in date. I know that's a lot to move back the swearing in date a month, but that's kind of the process. So with that, I'll stand for any questions.
So that'd take effect next month, or is this going to be late in next year?
So this ordinance would take effect 61 days after publication, so you're probably looking at February. And then you'd have to pass the subsequent resolution to say when swearing in will take place. So for those who were just elected or reelected in November of 2023, you will still be sworn in January of 2024 under the current schedule. And then the next time we have an election in 2025, the swearing in will take place under whatever resolution you all consider and pass to set that swearing in date.
Commissioners, any other questions for Mr. Finch?
Just want to say, as someone who came in really green, and I was a little later than this date as well, but just, you know, you're drinking from a fire hose with all the firefighters here. And it's a lot to get thrown into that. So even that extra 30 days, whatever we decide to do in the end, is a lot of extra time to kind of get some information before you really are jumping in full steam. So I am completely in favor of that.
Is that a motion?
Oh, sure, yeah. It's,
All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I will make a motion to approve item F as listed in the agenda.
Thank you.
I will second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Can I have a roll call vote, please?
How do you vote, Mayor Pro Tem Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Graves?
Yes.
And Mayor Crowley?
I vote yes. Motion is approved. That'll move us on to item G.
Capital project updates.
This is a review of our capital project status. I believe it says Director Landis, but City Manager Selcott, you want to run us through this too, or we're going to tag team this?
Director Landis is remoted in and practicing adequate and appropriate social distancing while she's fighting a bug. So we're grateful for that. So Melanie, please feel free to chime in as you see fit, as well as any of our directors who are present for questions that may arise or additional comments that they would like to offer on these projects that we're reviewing. We'll start off with the City Hall improvements, I believe, for security. And essentially, we have our pre-construction conference for later this week, and we hope to begin in January. So we'll be having additional updates, and hopefully for the February presentation, you'll have some in-progress photos to go with this agenda item. And this is funded with the 2022A general obligation issuance that was associated with the ARPA funding, I believe. And then we've completed this project, which was the comprehensive pay and benefit study. And so that was approved and rolled out. And so we're looking to implement those on January 6th for the first pay period of 2024. The next item is our Law Enforcement Center's exterior stabilization plan, which is a new roof and some small drainage, both off of the building and internal. We're looking also at some additional door improvements and security switches that go with that, to combining that with the City Hall security improvements. So we can get some scalability and some savings with doubling up on those purchases there. The OMA remodel that was unveiled this autumn, late summer, early autumn, with much fanfare, and I think the public at large has been very appreciative, and the venue with its improved usability and comfort has been well received by everyone, and not just the public at large, but the performers who have been on hand have noticed an improvement as well. And this is our taxiway reconstruction that is part of the FAA, and I'd like to point out that this is funded 95% from the Kansas Department of Transportation's Aviation Fund, with the remaining 5% from our airport fund, and so the total amount is just under $197,000. And of course, we're in the design phase now, and we'll look to proceed with construction here as weather permits in the spring. The splash pad in City Park is underway, and I know that Director Hafley and his staff, DJ, they've submitted the grant application as well for some recycled tires and flooring for the playground equipment. So we're optimistic that will provide some additional assistance to this project as well. But we have $250,000 budgeted at this time, and we are having our kickoff meeting, and the that has occurred, and now we're in the ordering phase.
Is there a estimated start date for that?
I will defer to Director Hafley, but I know that it was anticipated to begin in the middle of first quarter of '24.
Yes, Mayor, we haven't established a start date yet based on, because we don't want to put a start date and not have the equipment here. The equipment's been ordered, but the goal is to have it ready before Memorial Day. That is our goal.
Thank you.
The next item is our water tower at Proximity Park. You may notice some construction going on if you're out in that area. We've got the pedestal currently built, and they're also constructing the bulb or the ball, or the golf ball, if you want to use a tee analogy. And it's really, if you're ever able to just kind of watch it unfold, the engineering on that is pretty impressive, how everything kind of balances and is built on that infrastructure there. But we,
Yeah.
On the water tower, just a quick question. I've had people mention before that, is this just for Proximity Park? And I've tried to tell them, no, all the water towers are for all of Ottawa, so it's not just regulated there to the park, in my understanding.
that's correct, and it will flow, and ideally, because of its utilization as not only a storage repository for our water, but also for pressure stabilization. So you want to ideally have your storage placed as high above your community as you possibly can, so that gravity works in your favor, and that also helps. And as we go to roll this out, we'll be doing some public education, and we'll try and utilize our outreach through our community text system as well, so that folks are aware, because we may, depending upon how the direction of that water flows, could get some sedimentation, which is just some like some iron manganese and mineral buildups through the pipes over time. So as you reverse that flow, it'll turn it up. And I know that we'll have our fire department and water team out trying to flush hydrants as well when that occurs. But we'll give the public plenty of lag time so that they're aware in the event that this happens.
The construction of the water tower, is it being done by contract, or is are there city crews that are assisting? How is the construction happening?
It's entirely by contract. And the generator for our facility, as you know, we have that currently in the works, and KDHE is reviewing that configuration. So once we get word on that, then Director Riney and his folks will begin movement to progress that project. And just to let you know, the next slide, which is our base grant, which is our gas service extension to Proximity Park, is not a city project per se, as that's being conducted by Kansas Gas Service. So we're kind of along for the ride on that, but we are doing our best to proactively communicate with them. And I know that Director Hafley and Director Riney have been in contact, as well as Director Landis and her team, trying to stay on top of that. But this is a funding portion where the city's fronting the initial costs, and then the matching from Kansas Gas Service and the base grant will kick in. And then our electric meter, sorry about that, our electric meter replacement is ongoing, and we have completed the 450 meters purchased for this year, and we'll be looking to come back for an amendment to the 2024 capital improvement project to essentially pull the Band-Aid off in one fell swoop to roll out the remainder of the meters in one fell swoop, and then also to make some technology investments so that we'll have some real-time mapping capabilities, not just for utility personnel, but for the public at large, so they can get on to see what's on and what's off, and how long that's anticipated to be, etc. Our water meter replacement, this is just a bite at a time, and we're continuing to do that as we roll out, plus install those meters on new services as they come online. And this is our power quality study with Power Engineering for circuits 8 and 10 that serve the northeast industrial area, and what our utility personnel were able to do. Because of the complexity of the electric distribution grid, it's not as simple as turning something off and redirecting from one circuit to another. Believe it or not, the complexity is such that the fuses on the circuitry have to be of the same make, model, and type. Otherwise, you'll have issues that will not only lead to outages, but will damage the hardware, not just the fuses, but also the transformers and like that go along with that. So it required, even before we could conduct that, our line personnel with Ed and his crew had to go out and visually inspect and verify each fuse on those circuits, the whole time having metering set up on our side going into the facilities, as well as at the substations, to measure and record what's coming in from the feed off of Evergy, our own generation, and then from that circuitry into those facilities that we were having the most issues with. And to my knowledge, we haven't had any issues since we were able to completely isolate service to our industrial area there on the northeast. So I'd like to thank our electric utility personnel for coming together as a team. We encouraged patience, because if we reacted as opposed to responding, we would have caused more damage and increased the cost for downtime. And also utilizing this as an opportunity for the manufacturers in our community who utilize heavy equipment loads on our system, that they are aware of their role in the distribution system and the role that internal harmonics of their machinery and equipment plays on their role. So not every outage is a city outage, but also now that we've been able to isolate that and we have the data, that helps us also determine and work with them in kind of a concierge type approach to get things dialed in. The Northeast Sewer Lift Station, I think this is one of those projects that I guess you could say it's the gift that keeps on giving, because I know this was in the works when the vacancy for my position was advertised. And, you know, it's a good example that the Yiddish proverb of I plan, God laughs. We have had many issues, all of which were unrelated to Ottawa, the utilities, the project itself, that were greater macroeconomic and supply chain issues that have caused much of the delay here as we continue to wait for parts to kind of come in over time. And as we've seen with our electric side as well, anything that requires wiring the minerals that go with that, there's significant lead times and lag times for these projects. And then, of course, as we all know, the economies of scale also play a factor from the suppliers. So they're going to put priorities on the larger utilities over the smaller utilities, simply because it's all about the marketplace at that point in time. So we are continuing to work through. We're about just over 75% complete on the project, and look forward to hopefully getting this thing wrapped up sometime next year. I don't know if Dan has any additional insight. I don't really want to put him on the spot because, like I said, there's been so much occurring that's beyond anybody's control.
Mayor, Commissioners, yeah, I'm just kind of excited because I think the end might actually be in sight. All the electrical work is done. All the other mechanical devices are actually in our possession. They're on site. We had a meeting 10 days ago with the contractor. And of course, because of waiting on these things, they've moved on to another job site, so we've had to do some scheduling in that. But they are poised and ready to jump back on it the first week in January, and theoretically probably 2 weeks worth of work, and it'll all be done except for the standby generator, which was originally going to be here in November and then December and then January and now February. Which, the irony of supply chain, the switchgear has been here for a very long time, but it's taken forever to get the generator. Similar project going on at the water plant. The generator's been here forever, and we're waiting on. I don't get it, but I fully anticipate by mid to the end of January that thing will be pumping material under the river and be in motion. And pretty excited about it because, as Brian said, it's been going on a long time, and a number of you were around and probably realized that station was originally designed in 2006. So if you really want to back up as to how long it's been around a long time.
See,
But-
Dan, I know in the spirit of being a good neighbor, we had some issues with a neighbor out there. So has that been mitigated, or we're okay? They're
Yes.
no longer
Yeah,
complaining?
yeah, you can see in the photo, there's a,
See if
we
it's
had
on
talked
there.
about putting a berm
Yeah.
between there,
Remember that?
and to get that berm high enough to accomplish what that fence did, we would have had to been massive at the base of it to keep the slope to where we could maintain it, and so we opted to do the privacy fence.
Looks nice. Okay.
Well,
Thanks.
and I don't know if they were, I don't want to speak for them, I don't know if they were concerned about, you know, what the building was going to look like, but looking at that picture, that's a pretty minimal building, and I doubt it does anything site-wise for them aesthetically not pleasing.
Yeah, I would agree with that, yeah. And It's not in the photo, but there will be lights on the outside of that building, and there'll be a light on a pole right over the wet well structure if the guys have to go out there at 2:30 in the morning like we always do. But those will all be on manual switches. That was part of our commitment to the neighbors, was that, the
they're not on.
light won't be on all the time, yeah. Good.
Great. Thank you, Dan.
And he did say pumping under, not in the river, so.
To the sewer plant, yeah, okay. Finish that finally.
And while we're talking about our water reclamation waste removal process, we did just recently complete the disinfection upgrade for the replacement of our ultraviolet disinfection, which is essentially the last stage, as we've created the cake from all of the various bacteriological, both aerobic and anaerobic, that take place throughout this process, compressing that product down into what's called a cake. And then from that, you're going to get some removal of water and other byproducts that then are processed. And the final stage is this disinfection that occurs before it does flow into the Merdazine. So I'm good to see that happen, and this is a good proactive thing. One thing I do like to point out is the standard KDHE violation fine for non-compliance is $20,000 a day. So being proactive on these kinds of things is very important. And there have been numerous incidents across the state for both communities as large as the Kansas City Metro to Wichita, to as small as little rural water districts way out west, where they're serving less than 100 people, and they're all subject to conformity to KDHE regulations, whether it's water or wastewater. So maintaining your lines, knowing that there's an issue, and promptly making that remediation, regardless of cost, is ultimately going to be a saver. So it's truly one of those things where an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
And that's supposed to be up this week? Is that still?
Yes, they were doing the final check yesterday. Our water treatment plant study, that's still on the books and ongoing. Did you have any additional comments on that, or just? Okay, so.
In progress.
And then just a list of completed projects, what the budget was, where it came in at, and when it was completed.
On those completed projects, with the street rehab on the 1200 block of South Maple, I see our percent to budget was 46%. Do we have a plan for those additional funds for other roadways? Because I know there's a lot of roadways in Ottawa that can use repair, and if we have another $50,000 available.
Well, and yes, and it essentially goes into the unencumbered fund balance that will be applied to other projects. One of the things that we are trying to explore are different approaches to dedicate funding to the street fund specifically, to where we can segregate or bifurcate, for exact words, the maintenance of roadways from the full depth reconstruction and significant maintenance that needs to occur. You're looking at, ideally, a new roadway should have some sort of surface treatment application 3 to 5 years after it's been installed. You're looking at that ongoing every 5 to 7, and that's being generous in the budgetary impact, because obviously the professionals will tell you more 3 to 5. And you're looking at every 20 to 25 years for a mill and overlay, where you're taking off that top 2 to 6 inches, depending upon what was there previously, and ensuring that there's not any some softness in the underbase there that would need some specific depth. And all of that would be something that would be a very costly undertaking and is considered to be beyond maintenance and is more of a project type. And the project types are things like not only the potholing and the full depth pothole mitigation and correction, but also what's called crack filling and crack sealing. So crack sealing's where you get the tar and get all the little lines that you see out on the street, and that needs to occur during a specific temperature window. Where the crack filling is where you come in and you grout out that surface, and you're going down and making some potential small isolated base repairs where that's occurring. And then so you'll see kind of older pavement asphalt with, you know, maybe like a 12 to 24 inch stripe of new asphalt. That would show that there was a crack filling operation that occurred there. And that's more maintenance. So ideally, we would have those two separated, with the $250,000 that we set aside for maintenance going specifically to more surface treatment, and then having some additional set-asides for the actual rehabilitation of those projects that we know are needed. And of course, all of that's in light of ensuring that it's integrated properly with stormwater and your curbs and gutters and the knock-on effect. But of course, as we try and look at the budget and things that we might be able to apply so that we can bifurcate it and manage it appropriately, it's the blowback or the unintended consequences, because you think you find something, but then you realize that that's going to another operation that is property tax supported. So for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction when it comes to property taxes, meaning if you take from one place to give to another, there's going to be a void that you're creating to do that in the absence of increasing property taxes or growing your tax base.
So on this, essentially the money's going back in kind of essentially more of a general fund that could be used for maintenance, not a specific project.
Well, for that project, and I'll defer to Director Landis or Director Hafley, but I believe that was a capital improvement project, so it goes into the capital fund rather than the general fund.
Actually, the leftover funds from that will remain in the special street fund and carry over to next year.
Okay, so they still can be used towards
They-
roadway improvements?
Absolutely. Anytime we come under budget like that, it gets carried over to the next year and try to be reused on more street projects, so.
Thank you.
So the unencumbered fund balance in the street fund rather than the CIP. I apologize. So this is showing the list of projects for 2024. And then also wanted to note that we'll be coming to you with a request to add the full electric meter installation in that as well. And we've identified a funding mechanism for that won't require any issuance of debt or adverse impact on our current existing utility rate structure. Are there any questions for staff over the projects that we've reviewed over the past month?
Commissioners, any questions? If not, how would you like to act on item G?
Just receive and file, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Item H.
Golf course dedication.
This is a last-minute amendment to the agenda packet. What we're asking for is authorization for the mayor and staff to gift and convey the property deed for 1001 East Logan, technically, that would be parcel number 030-008-7-25-0-025.00-0, commonly known as the Ottawa Golf Course, to the City of Ottawa, Kansas Land Bank, and to execute all necessary actions to complete this action. And so, for folks who may not be aware, we created the land bank back in September of 2018, and that is created under KSA 12-5901 at SEC. And the long and the short of it is we've received a 2023 property valuation and tax notice for the 2024 fiscal year. Our appraised value has increased from $575,030 when it belonged to the country club for for-profit operations in 2022 to $1,864,650 and an assessed valuation of $463,207 in 2023. So that's a 224.27% increase. That equates to $1,289,620 for the change in use, going from a country club operation to a de facto city park. So, as I state, this is remarkable given the uses, and quite honestly, I've failed to comprehend the appraisal process in that, but that is Kansas. Staff's recommending placing the property into the city's land bank to facilitate the strategic conveyance of property in order to return the property to productive use. Failure to transfer the property into the land bank will result in a property tax liability of $75,425.08. And that will go to the City of Ottawa, Franklin County, and USD 290, as well as other taxing entities such as the state and whatnot. I include a paste from the valuation notice that reaffirms that. Legal considerations by our city attorney are to approve us to form. And I also include the property tax, real estate tax statement for the year ahead, reflecting that $75,425.08 property tax bill.
I've got a question on that. I know it looks like the second half will be due in May. We owned it for this period of time. Is this deed recording or this land bank designation, can it be retroactive, or are we going to owe that in May?
My understanding is it will not, but as I often say, I took the GRE, not the LSAT, for a reason, so I'll defer to our city attorney.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, that's an open question, one we'll be working through with the county. The transfer of the property took place last year in 2022, and it has been at all times this year a public property. Even though it is leased to Great Life, it is still a public course. The public can play there, and the intention when the city acquired it was to utilize it for that public purpose. So I believe that it meets the definition of tax exemption, whether we have to go back through that process with BOTA or not. Transferring it into the land bank will remove all doubt for the appraiser's office going forward.
And with that valuation, I guess obviously it's too late to appeal that, but that's quite a significant increase from what he did next. I was shocked by that when I saw that. Yeah.
Makes me not feel so bad about my evaluation.
That's right.
Well, the motion, I believe, the attorney would like to provide.
Commissioners, if you choose to proceed, I would ask for a motion to convey the Ottawa Golf Course at 1001 East Logan to the City of Ottawa's land bank as a gift, and to authorize the mayor and staff to execute and record all necessary documents to effect the transfer.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Can I have a roll call vote, please?
How do you vote, Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Graves?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton?
Yes.
And Mayor Crowley?
I vote yes. Motion is approved. Thank you. Comments by our city manager?
I'll keep it brief, especially given our Monday session. I want to reiterate Chief and his retirement reception from 2 to 4 on Friday at Station 1, and to also provide an official update that in the interim, Assistant Chief Dillon will be our interim fire chief, and we'll be working through the logistics on working with our station captains for the allocation of responsibility coverage and tasks that need to occur and how to spread that out while we undergo a regional to national search for the position. And we anticipate presenting that at the same time, an update with that in our process at the same time that we present our comprehensive fire study in the first quarter. So we're looking at March for that to occur. And so I know I've had several meetings with Chief and Interim Chief Dillon on this process. So you'll be seeing Chief Dillon representing the department going forward. And if you got any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or to Acting Chief Dillon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Comments by governing body, Commissioner Kaler.
I'd like to highlight, and I know that we talked about it in depth, but I do think it's important, and it's a shift in the way that we are actually looking at projects that are happening within the city. But would encourage the public, if they have questions about things that are happening in our community, those 15 capital projects that were reviewed by our city manager, that's a really good hallmark just on what's going on and how to keep a pulse on what is going on in our community. So if you're wondering what's going on, how things are happening, what's happened in the last 30 days and what's happening in the next 30 days, important that you go back and look through that and watch this over again so that you know exactly what's happening with your taxpayer dollars. Important, and I appreciate that change and that addition to keeping what's going on in our community present and in the minds of all citizens. Want to thank the city for hosting a really fun breakfast yesterday. It's always fun to break bread with our amazing employees and to have a chance to spend some time that is not structured per se. But the bulk of my time today, I just wanted to really thank Chief Matthias for his service. I'm sorry your wife left. I know that she's busy, and I know your family is busy, but I really want to thank your wife and your children. Janet and your children have really served our community in a way that we don't really think about or talk about very much. So I appreciate them sharing her husband, and sharing their dad with us. So thank you for your service, but thank you to your family too. And, you know, one thing that I really appreciate about Chief Matthias is that really humor gets us through it all. I mean, and I've learned to really get your humor, and I appreciate it. I appreciate your service. Then you always have service with a smile, but it's really with a little tinge of humor, too, and I appreciate that. I've seen you grow as a leader tremendously in my time on the commission. So, and I hope you felt that growth, and I know that your department has felt that growth, too. Leadership and learning they go hand in hand, and I've seen you learn so much but grow so much as a leader. So we will miss you, but thank you so much for your service.
Thank you. Commissioner Graves?
I have no comment.
Commissioner Clayton?
I will just reiterate the same thing about the CIP. I think in our day-to-day lives, it's always hard to see what is going on because so much of it's behind the scenes, unseen. It's not flashy. Water treatment stuff's not great. But it's an amazing thing that we have. I know I appreciate it every single day. So seeing those projects, as Commissioner Kaler said, it's great to see where those funds are really being used. And Chief, I was going to say I wasn't going to mention that I was 3 years old in 1990. But just the fact alone that I think about my entire life essentially, and that you've been dedicating that much time to the city of Ottawa every single day. 12-hour shift or 24-hour shifts, lots of projects and things over those years. I think it's amazing, and so thank you for that. And then, final thing I would kind of say is, I know there's been a lot of talk. It's tax season. Everyone's getting their notifications just as we did here, and so I think us, adding the golf course to the land bank is the best use of taxpayer funds to not pay those increased taxes. As we saw, it went up 220%. I know I had that down. And so I just want everyone to know that it's not just your house, it's our houses that are going up as well. So I think we all feel that, and the city does as well too. And that's it.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Skidmore.
And I'm still counting how old I was in 1990, but give me a minute and I'll come up with a number. But anyway, I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and please don't forget the reason for the season. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. I have no additional comments to be made. I will do our announcements, just because the importance of it. I'll remind everybody, Chief's retirement reception is at 2 to 4 at Fire Station 4 on Friday, December 22nd. December 25th is the Christmas holiday, so our study session is canceled and City Hall is closed. January 1st is New Year's, so our study session is canceled and City Hall is closed. We will be back